Alright, well, we have the Erlenmeyer flask on the stove and we are going to boil it for 15 minutes. I'm a little nervous because it's making a lot of noise and it smells a little funny. But supposedly on these glass top stoves you are perfectly safe to put the Erlenmeyer flask. I did not see any heat warnings when I bought the flask. So we're going to go with give it a go and see what happens. Kind of hard to say. I really don't know if we're going to run into a problem. I hope we don't. I hope this thing doesn't have any weaknesses in the glass. So we are going to wait. We've got essentially 12 teaspoons or 6 ounces of dry malt extract in there from Breeze, and we have a 1/4 teaspoon of yeast nutrient, and we are going to boil this for 15 minutes to let it sanitize, and when it's done boiling, then we will cool it and add the yeast at 70 degrees. Put the foil over the top, let it sit for about 24 hours, and we should have a good vigorous fermentation that we will pour into our beer, and should be great. Looking forward to brewing tomorrow. So we will hang up, let this boil, and we'll be back here in a few minutes when we're pitching the yeast. Well, back after we have boiled the liquid, it was a little bit of a scary ordeal. I sent off a few text messages just because it had a really weird sound and smell, and I was worried about the construction of the glass just with weak spots and it possibly breaking. But it held in there, and now I'm doing the opposite extreme and cooling it down real fast. So, again, hoping for no major flaws in the glass. Anyhow, we were not able to boil for 15 minutes because it kept boiling over. So I am going to definitely be watching some videos on how to make a starter. And I don't know if it's better to do it in a pot that's not shaped like this, or if there's any other suggestions, tips, or tricks. But anyways, I figured since it boiled for a couple minutes, it had to have basically sanitized and killed anything that was really going to be bothersome to mutate the yeast. So the only part of the sanitation that I'm a little bit concerned about is the foil. I really don't have a good way to sanitize that foil that I'm going to put over the top of this. But anyways, hopefully that yeast will just be active and get going and make us up a good little starter here. And from there, we will pitch into the beer tomorrow. So once I put the yeast in there and put the foil on the top, I'll give you a final shot, and then we'll come back and take a look at it in the morning to see how she is going. Our starter's been going for over 12 hours, and you can tell it is taken off. You can see the top bubbling up where the carbon dioxide is building up, and we seem to have pretty good yeast growth. You can see active fermentation in there with the bubbles rising. So anyways, this turned out to be a really good starter. We should have about 4 billion yeast cells. And I have the water heating that we're going to use to clean all the equipment right now. And then we're going to get started. So I'm going to get the laptop in here, and we will start mashing in very... Welcome to Flow Brewing, episode 13. Today we are brewing the Spring IPA. Not ready to reveal the name of that beer yet, but it's going to be great. It's been a long time since we have recorded. What we've been up to, as you can tell, I have moved to a new location. I've got a new garage, and I am building a brewery in the backyard. That is not done yet either, but has contributed to some of the delays here in the brewing process. Anyways, today we are cleaning our equipment because we did a big move where lots of dirt, grime got into this equipment, so we need to make sure that it's uber clean. I was hoping, as you noticed on the last episode, we were building a new pilot brewery that we're going to start brewing on. We've had some delays. We had some design changes to the brewing stands that I'm welding together, and so those changes have taken a little longer than expected, but I should have the welding done tomorrow. And then I ordered 2 new pots, and those pots unfortunately are on back order. I was talking with the home brewery yesterday, the brew shop out of Ozark, Missouri, who I order all my stuff from, and those pots are back ordered until April 12th, 2012. So in the meantime, I will continue brewing on my old system, kind of doing a hybrid batch sparge method, as you guys have noticed. I lose a little bit of efficiency because I don't get as good a rinse on the grain bed. But anyways, we're going to start off. We've got about 17 pounds of grains today. We're going to start off with about 12 gallons of water and mash in at 150 degrees, trying to maximize the amount of sugars that we're going to get. The grain is a little light for the target gravity that we're shooting for, which is 1.08. That will allow us to add sugar at the very end of the boil, pushing our target gravity to the desired 1.08. We're shooting to be about 1.06 pre-boil. Going to do a 90-minute boil today, just to make sure that we don't have any DMS precursors from the light pale ale malts. We shouldn't. It's a good, highly modified malt. However, we also want to make sure that we may cut the boil off just a little bit early, but we want to make sure that we're getting full extraction, boiling those sugars down and having a really, really, really concentrated wort for fermentation. Last night I started making the yeast starter, which I filmed, and so anyways, we're going to finish running this PBW through the system, wiping and cleaning everything out, making sure we're good to go. Then we'll heat up our mash water and we'll get started. Last night I recorded the tasting of Dig New Belgium Spring Seasonal with the Sriracha Ace hops, which is kind of a new hop. I have ordered a beer from a friend who travels to the Northwest quite a bit for a single hopped Sriracha Ace beer, and we will put that on the site as well. But wanted to highlight that hop as well as Zythanos, I believe, and I believe it's Sriracha Ace, so I've probably been saying that wrong. But anyways, that and Zythanos, Hop Union's proprietary hop blend. Wanted to highlight those 2 hops, and we're trying to find commercial examples so that we can have some tasting notes, some notes on the hop aromas and how those hops contribute to the final flavor of the beer that we're brewing today. And then we're taking this beer to the Tough Mudder in Dallas, March 31st. So make sure, and if you're around, go down to Dallas, hit me up at flowbrewing.com and email me, and we'd love to meet up, let you taste some beer. So should be fun. We'll stand up. All right. Welcome back. It is just past 1:30, and we have mashed in. And right now we are at 142, 144. We mashed in at 150, and we've already taken about 6 degrees off the original mash-in temp just from the grains. It was a difficult mash-in because the Oklahoma City Brew Shop packages their grains in that, which is, to me, unacceptable. I'm going to talk with people and see what they do, but I don't think I'm going to shop at the brew shop anymore. I might make a recommendation that they package their grains better and see if they can fix that so that I can support them, but I just don't I have a hard time supporting them if they're not going to put forth a good quality product. And when I was there, the guy, he didn't get my percentages right, and he just threw the extra that he had in his bucket into my thing, which is good because I got more than what I technically paid for. But when you're trying to hit your numbers, trying to make a specific beer, you don't want unknown amounts of grain in your mash. So, anyways, we are mashed in. I'm going to turn on the heat, raise this thing up just a little bit, and then we're going to let it sit here for an hour, and then we'll do a batch sparge and modified batch sparge. We're just going to take full boil volume off. We know that we're going to take a little hit on our efficiency, but as long as we hit our numbers, that's all that matters. And then we'll do some samples, and we'll start with some hop analysis, and then we will get boiling. Okay, we are back at 150. A little note here. If you are brewing and you have missed your mash temp, and you've got a system like this, what you can do is go ahead and turn on your heat, take your lid off, and use a big long wooden spoon like that, and just go ahead, turn on the heat very low and start stirring it gently. You don't want to agitate it too much, but stir it gently, and it literally only took a minute of moving the liquid around with the heat on low to raise it 6 degrees. I mean, less than a minute. So you want to be very careful because that temp will keep climbing on you if you're not careful, and then you won't get the enzyme activity that you're looking for at a particular mash temperature. You have about a 3 to 4 minute window within each temperature before the enzymes start dying or stop working at that specified range. And if you go over a certain temperature, then it permanently stops the enzyme activity for the lower temperatures. So like if I'm trying to get the enzymes at about 150 degrees to convert those malts into sugar, and I hit 154, 155 and leave it there for say 3 to 4 minutes, those enzymes that would work at 150 degrees may no longer be active. And that'll especially be true is if you miss it by more than 10 degrees. So if you're shooting for like 150 and then you hit that 160 number for more than 4 minutes, those enzymes at 150 are not going to work anymore. And then you run the risk of getting a little bit sweeter beer because you're going to have some unconverted sugars at 150 degrees. So anyways, just a few tips on mashing in, and we are mashed in, and we will hang it up, and I'm going to record some numbers, and then we will be back online for our boil. It's 2:33, and time to mash out or do our batch sparge here. So not going to raise the temperature of the mash at all, so the enzyme activity will keep working till basically we get all the grains removed. And we're going to move it over here to our little holding vessel since our brewery is not quite done. And from there we will get the grain out of this vessel here. And let's take a look here. So that's the final mash water with 17 pounds of grain. It looks a little thin, but hopefully that's okay. We'll get our 7 gallons that we need pre-boil at 1.06. Boil it for 90 minutes. Hopefully we'll get to just under 1.08. Add the sugar at the end of the boil and hit the 1.08. So anyways, we're going to get started moving this, getting the grain out, and get on boil. I just pulled the hydrometer reading for our mash. I'm going to put that in the fridge, get it down to 59 degrees so we can get an accurate reading. And I'm going to grab a sample now. Again, this is called a batch sparge. It's a little bit different than a normal batch sparge because we're actually not doing a sparge. All the whole boil volume is in there. But let's get us a little sample there. Maybe even a little bit too much, but shouldn't hurt anything. And let's have a taste. So it's a little warm, but smells good. Tastes a little thin. It's got a good malty character. It's not incredibly clear, but a nice light pale ale color. Should have nice color. Should darken up maybe just a shade from the boil. But very good looking liquid, and it's got a nice very nice malty flavor. Good malts in this. You know, no hops, nothing big to taste yet, but it's just nice to kind of taste the different malt combinations pre-hop and pre-boil, so that you got a good idea for what you're getting. I would recommend that everyone taste their beer at every point in the process until they get exact beer that they want, and then brew it twice just to make sure it's repeatable. Then every time you brew a new batch on your pilot, I would very much recommend that you taste it at every point in the process so you know exactly what flavors you're getting from your malts. And I would encourage you to eat the malts before you even start brewing. Taste the hops, smell the hops. It'll really help you lock in on the flavors that each of the individual ingredients gives to the beer. What the ingredient tastes like raw, what it tastes like after post-boil, after the oils are contribute their bitterness to the beer, and the malts form their Maillard reactions. So anyways, very important to taste, and this one tastes good. So we're going to go ahead and finish up here and get it on boil. Here is the grain that we have left. Might take some of this and make some beer bread, but probably not for this weekend since I got a weld. So anyways, that'll be coming in a future episode, but so far we got our 17 pounds of grain left and time to get to. So now what we have is we are coming out of this tank here, which just has a little wire filter in it, coming into the brew kettle here. We are going against the side of the kettle here to try and mitigate the effects of hot side aeration, but as Dr. Charlie Bamforth will tell you, good fermentation should take away any effects of the hot side aeration. So we've got a very good looking liquid down there. It's really thin. You know, you can see right through it, but it's a nice bright orange color, and I hope that it's very similar to like Real Ale's anniversary ale that had just this wonderful Simcoe just explosion when you drank it. So we're going to boil this. It'll be a 90-minute boil today, and we'll see how much boils off and how much we actually get in the fermenter and what our numbers are. But we got a lot of hop additions, especially late, and we are really hoping that this thing gets just a huge amount of hop aroma. And we'll be talking about the hops as we pull them out, weigh them, and smell them, and how we are going to start making the single hop pale ales so that we can start distinguishing these hop flavors in each of our beers. So we're going to break away for now, and we'll give you another shot once we hit boil and we have our first hop addition. Alright, we are at about 1.042 pre-boil, so that means that we're about 20 units short, or 20, hell, I don't know what you call them. But anyways, 20 points short, so what we're going to do is add about a pound of dry malt extract pre-boil so that we get to our numbers. I don't think that's going to affect the flavor too much because it's just like a base sugar malt. And the flavor from my tasting was really good. Had kind of the maltiness that we want, but should finish dry and let the hop shine. So anyways, going to go ahead and add about a pound of DME, try and get us to our numbers. I won't have a hydrometer reading of that to make sure that we got there. Probably should have went ahead and added that and then taken another hydrometer reading, but now we just need to get her done. So we'll add it and then we'll check our numbers post-boil and see if we can. Here we have a pound bag of Briess dried malt extract packaged by LP Carlson. We have all the liquid in there. We're about 20 units, 20 points short. So we're going to go ahead and add this guy right there, like that. Go ahead and add a little bit more maltiness to this. And then we're going to go ahead and boil this and see how she comes out. So anyways, we'll know if we hit our numbers post-boil because this should rise basically about 10 gravity units. So at 104.2 now, we should get to about 105.2 post-boil. So if that was good and that got us to 106.2, then we should be at 107.2, hopefully to 108 post-boil. We've got a new scale in our arsenal, so we've got that zeroed out with our measuring bowl on there. So we're going to do, just kidding. There it goes. So now we are going to put in the 25 grams of the hops that we're going to use, and we'll do some tasting notes or some aroma notes on those hops. Here we have the Chinook, and they're so warm and spicy and just nice pine aromas, just wonderful hop. Absolutely love the aroma of this hop. It's 11.8% alpha acid. So we are going to go ahead and put this thing in there, and wow, so the Summit has just a really huge earthy kind of onion nose. The package says it very well. Does have some citrus tones, but it is really earthy with like that garlic onion nose. Love the smell of this hop. But I love the Chinook much better. So anyways, we got to get these things on boil, and here's my favorite Sriracha Ace hops. They do sort of have a dill aroma, which is interesting. I would have never thought of that. I get some lemonness to them. They're very citrusy. I don't like them near as much as the Chinook, but I think Chinook's my favorite hop. So anyways, made a game day audible, backing off 2 of my 60-minute editions, and just going to go with Sriracha Ace. And of course, there'll be a lot of additions late in this thing. So anyways, going to go ahead and make. This is the Xanthanos. To me, it smells identical to the Chinook, just not as strong. So anyways, seems like a good hop if you're not looking for the power of the Chinook, but you can tell I'm sold on the The Galena is similar to the Xanthanos, but it's a little bit more earthy. Has a little bit sweeter nose. I wouldn't have said this except that I've smelled the Summit today, but sweeter, more like an onion sweetness on the nose for the Galena. But anyways, good smelling hop. Should be a good one. So we're going to go ahead and measure this one out. Here is the Centennial hop. To me, that has a very strong grapefruity kind of taste. It is a bit floral, but it's got sort of like a little bit more grapefruit to it. Not quite as strong as Chinook. A little bit stronger aroma than Xanthanos. Making sure it looks like there's a little hole in my bag right there, which definitely pisses me off. But They seem to have good aromas. I'll get it in a Ziploc, and hopefully they won't go bad, and I'll just keep using them. So anyways, here's Centennial, an IPA favorite, floral, grapefruit notes. Nose is bigger than Zythanos, but not quite as big as Chinook, and it's a little bit tamer than Chinook. So we are done with boil. Let's get us a little sample here. We're only at 80 degrees. I really screwed up. I put in the sugar after boil, and so I'm a little bit worried about contamination. I probably shouldn't have even put it in, but I planned on it, so I kind of got hell-bent on it. Worst case scenario, I can just brew this batch again. I'm really kind of frustrated about that, though. It's just new system, new house, new location, so a lot of things different. So now this beer, our sample, very cloudy, got a lot of hop and just trub in that sample. Get some bitterness from the nose. It's a hugely bitter beer. And just incredibly bitter. So I'm not sure if that's a good or bad thing, but we will drink it up and find. We are all done. First brew day here. My biggest screw up was I forgot to pitch the sugar when it was boiling, so I hope I don't get any contamination there. Had a wonderful yeast starter. That went in great. I did pitch a little bit warmer than my target fermentation temp. So again, these are some of the things that I kind of need to work out in my process. Really, until I get my brewery built, it's just kind of hit and miss, and it feels like amateur hour. So I'm working real hard to get past that. Right now, I've got target fermentation temperature set at 62 degrees with a plus or minus 2 differential. So right now, the Ranco's reading at 73, so it's got a ways to go down, but it is cool out, so I'm hopeful that that'll drop quickly. We will see. So anyways, it's a kind of murky looking beer. I can see the airlock is already bubbling, so I know that it's fermenting. In a way, that's bad, but anyways, I guess it'll get going, and hopefully the temperature will keep dropping, and it won't affect the esters too much or the flavor profile. If not, I can always just hold my yeast, keep it in here overnight, wait till it gets to that 62, then pitch the yeast at that point, which is probably what I should have done. So I don't think the beer will be bad. I just don't think it'll be the exact beer that I was shooting for. And, you know, we'll let it ferment out. We'll check it out and make some adjustments. Just over 50 degrees. Got to let it warm about 8 degrees. Then we'll take the reading. So check it. Well, final hydrometer reading is 1062, so missed my numbers by a lot. Most likely just because of that batch sparge. So anyways, got to finish up the brewery. We'll keep after it, and we'll measure the final gravity after it ferments out. Well, we can see the hop trub has already started settling out after I took my hydrometer reading, and this beer tastes amazing. Tastes even better than my sample. It's got good bitterness, nice nose on it, and that nose will improve with the yeast and the carbonation and a little dry hopping. This could be a very good beer. I hope it brightens up. It's not the bright orange that I was looking for, but I can play around with that, and I did a lot of stuff wrong today, so need to rebrew it and get the process locked down, but this could be a very good beer. We'll hold our breath and